So I'm sitting in this vacation and at a yoga retreat, and we're sitting on a bench. These other people come to talk to us. They're like, "What are you doing here?" It's like, "We're here for yoga." And they say, "You don't look like yoga people." Well, the yoga master stands up, takes one of his legs, puts it behind his head, rests it on the opposite shoulder. The people immediately said, "Oh, I guess you are here for yoga." One of my friends then comments, my father is a pastor sitting there giving sermons every week for 40 years. People don't believe for decades. Person puts his leg on the opposite shoulder. People are converted in 5 seconds. And the reason for this intro is that you can see over here, you can literally get every last personal finance piece of guidance that ties together basically everything, all of it, all of it.
Meanwhile, Holtz, looking to punish with two black aces, he is ready. Little suited connector on the button for Joao.
So let me give you the setup here. This is happening in Korea now, and unfortunately, I have to watch line items. Otherwise, I'd watch this live on YouTube. Anyway, the entry fee here is $150,000 to sit down. So you got world class, and this person here who had the aces is one of the most decorated players. I'm an enthusiast. He would, his nickname is the Crown Prince, which is pretty high. A good description you'd want to have for yourself, right? In any discipline. Here we go.
Curious to see what his appetite is with a hand like suited connectors. Is he willing to call on the button, take it post flop? Looks like he will.
People would have thought, okay, this person, what is he doing? He only has 9 high, etc. This grid here is AI assisted, AI solving engine for every card combination given the person's seat and the prior action. And you can, so first of all, if you, to give you an idea, right? And now you can see 32.6% he's to call. In other words, for a pro at that level, they're not folding here. So immediately so many implications. Number one, and you can see it, right? Money has a naming problem. We have a language problem, right? We try to use Occam's razor and say, okay, poker is gambling. Does this look like gambling to you? All right, this looks like calculating to me. And right away, the idea that okay, well, poker equals roulette, like couldn't be more wrong, right? There are no $150,000 roulette tournaments. All of the players here know that all of the other players understand this grid. Absolutely. At different levels, but they all understand this grid. This is the actual objective calculation, right? And you can see a couple of things here. Literally, I could interrupt every sentence here, and this is not like a 5-hour video. It won't be 5 hours, don't worry. But you can see it here. First of all, you think, okay, well, I have pocket aces. I'm in the dream scenario. I'm going to win 95% of the time? You're nowhere close. It's only 78%, which means a good full 1 out of 5 times here, you lose.
Helps the aces in a great spot against 9-8 suited.
Oh,
maybe not.
Immediately here now, it's the worst possible
10-7-6. Fedor does not have a diamond, and it is unclear
and now
whether
the probabilities have completely flipped around. They have completely changed. You're not right 100% of the time. Neither am I. That would take a crystal ball. There's a reason I keep saying, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball. You can see your real world example right here. There's nothing in the world. Don't get me wrong. He would take this starting position every single time, 100 times out of 100. But facts change.
Whether or not he anticipates this sort of board texture would hit the flatting range on the button from Vieira. We really don't have a data point that gives us any insights with regards to how broad his range is in terms of hands shown.
Fedor should be checking this flop.
He's in trouble. He knows it.
Joao to attack
Exactly.
here?
And so now you can see why I've added this text. He has a new job now. He started out with every possible event, the dream scenario. It turns to a nightmare on one random event, and now he has a new job. He has a new job, right? From making the most to losing the least.
Even unpaired, like if Joao had like queen, jack, king, queen, probably would bet here to shake out ace highs. There's a huge range advantage for Joao because he's playing hands like 9-8 suited, pocket pair, sixes, sevens.
And this is the point, is that you can also hear that the commentators are commenting that they know this grid. They know that this person knows the grid. They know that this person knows the grid.
So it makes a lot of sense that Fedor is checking the flop. Of course, Joao is just hoping that Fedor's got a 10 or overpair. So
Yeah.
he needs to open the door for those hands to put in chips right now.
And the other thing is that Fedor should have a lot of big card combos in his opening range in order to ensure he has some durability in the face of a potential 3-bet. And when you look up at a 10-high board, you know that your opponent is going to be thinking that about your range, and so they are incentivized to begin to apply pressure. 10 on the turn means an ace or a 10 on the river for Fedor would provide an escape hatch.
So now we have more changes. So a couple of things to notice here. Number one is it looked innocent, but reality is that he was at 3. He is now improved to 9. So again, we need to be flexible. The facts are going to change. They're going to change, and they're going to change the probabilities and likelihoods at every node. Oh that. Right? The past is the past. The two card before we saw a single card, this person was ahead, aces at 78%. Now down to 9. And so remember, we're going here at every node here, node by node. And my point here is no one's telling us that these nodes that these different juncture points is happening on an equivalent time basis. No one said every hour or every day or every week, month, quarter, year. No. These things can be different, and the probabilities now different. At any point in time, no one's going to send us a notice, right? No one's going to send you an email to say, oh, well, I'm sending you an email. But you understand my point is, in advance, you're not told, oh, oops, all of these time spots now are all crammed together hour to hour.
Really not your favorite card at all if you're Joao, who did flop the nuts, now has far from it.
And now you can see what I'm saying is that even the commentators are telling you, right? They know that the way these numbers work. So they just commented, oh, what was 3 actually improved.
Unreasonable Fedor has diamonds. Also, of course, it kills his action against overpairs like this. Fedor, at first glance, will hate to see the 10, but it's actually going to potentially save him from losing his stack. Protection needed, though, for the straight. 3 diamonds out there.
Mm-hmm. Boy, no diamond in hand is unpleasant. But we just cannot fold to 450. We're not looking to raise.
So here, he knows he's behind. He highly suspects. You can see it on his face. And they're practicing expressions, of course. But the issue here is how do we not give up? And how do we also simultaneously lose the least? Why? Because, again, these people are expert at this. Oh, yeah, by the way, which is identical to the way that I'm saying, hey, we need to keep options. Medigap versus Medicare Advantage. Sorry, they're bang, straight away, right? Medigap, you have unlimited options. Medicare Advantage, you've got limited options. Depends on price. And that you could hear them talking. Okay, well, at that price, it would be an insane fold. You'll hear that in a moment.
Yeah, it would be insane fold. It's not. It's still possible he's got the best hand against some kind of worse pair that's trying to protect what's out there. So another 450 into the pot. 2.15 going to the river card, and it's a jack.
Really not a card that creates any concerns for Vieira, nor for that matter for the aces. If we were good before, we're good now. But as we can see, far from it is Fedor. Pot has grown to 2.15 million. SPR sub 1 by just a hair. And if you're Vieira, Randy, do you ask for all of it now, or is that too greedy?
That's a tough question because it depends on how he perceives Fedor to.
And it's crazy here, right? He has the winner. He likely knows he has the winner. He's not 100% sure that he is the winner because if you look down here, Jack 10 is a combination, right? Again, the number of takeaways is like also like unlimited, right? The single fact, ace, ace, now basically irrelevant. This person now, by the end, also is like he's not concerned about ace, ace at all. He's concerned about Jack 10 or diamond, diamond. So even here, even he has the advantage. Now the burden has switched on decision making to him because while he probably wins, right? This person has done his job, right? Which is not give up, keep the flexibility, lose the minimum, i.e., pay the least insurance premium, but still keep options. Hello. And over here, what you have on this person is okay, we're trying to make the maximum, but we've got to respect this other guy. The other guy is equally informed about the grid. And oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to flip over here. I showed you this. Here's the website, GTO Wizard, right? Every node, every spot, and not coincidentally, one of the long form interviews that I have on the channel is this, where this person here, by the way, happens to be one of the commentators for this tournament. He's not one of the speakers here on this particular segment, but he's part of the commentating group, and he's one of the pros that is lecturing about this. Yeah.
How would Fedor play like aces, kings, queens? Would he be willing to call jam? What about like 10x? Is it always calling, or is it a little bit afraid of the three diamonds out there? So there's definitely merit to asking for it all, and maybe even just a small bet, because the board is so scary. There is still a little bit of concerns of the diamonds out there in a paired board for Joao. Jacks could be in Fedor's. He's checking it back.
Wow.
Both have just survived and advanced. Very complicated. The two parties know that the other person has equal knowledge from different perspectives, and then also respecting one another. The guy in your subdivision with all the money who can't spell cat, if you gave him the C and the T, he buys every house in your subdivision. Doesn't matter if you think that real estate's overpriced, the price is going higher. The end. Right? You've got to understand that the other person has information, and as I stated, fully informed they are. Fully informed they are. And on and on and on. The number of takeaways you can apply to basically every financial decision you make, and then also on your overall setup, is basically infinite. Well, fast forward to now, Saturday, just afternoon. Good afternoon. Tomorrow's losing an hour of sleep. Here's where we are year to date, and you can see pretty rough, right? Which is, you can understand now why the broadcasts that I've been having on YouTube, why so many more YouTube videos to yourselves here to the stable have been, I'm not completely comfortable. I'm not completely comfortable. And actually the reality is that I was more uncomfortable here. Screaming higher, S&P up 4%, etc. J, and actually that is actually more stress inducing to me. Because I was protesting about, not Mr. X portfolio, we'll get to that in a moment, but I was protesting all along here. You'll see January and these other things about cost and the fact of equity risk premium and this, that, and the other on these other, and all those videos are basically like showing my angst at the end of especially towards the end of the year, about the fact that I'm like, up here, boy. So and you can see also that we have now given up the entirety and are notably minus compared to prior, and you can see here, December here, November here. So notably lower, and especially on small cap. We won't be entering into Jay's Rib Shack anytime soon, right? I mean, basically they're hit by the perfect storm. It makes total sense. Right? We don't know what borrowing costs are going to be. We don't know if our employees are going to show up for work, because we took them at their word that they are here lawfully, and we're not even sure if that was true, and it may not matter. So the idea that you would be buying equity into Jay's Rib Shack as a whole is, pretty much a non-starter. This is a full keep away. I've stated, and it is true that it can be fun, right? You can see it here. You can see how much sharply northeast the Jay's Rib Shack was compared to anything else, which was, hey, the world's going to be this better place, no regulation, lower interest rates. I'm going to improve inflation tomorrow, and now all of a sudden, just to give it straight back down, and in uncontrollable ways. So to me, you don't get paid enough for the risk at hand. Not very complicated. Not very complicated. Right? You need to be able to understand what I'm saying, meaning that I try to make the messages so that you can understand, like in the theme. That doesn't mean you should be looking through, all the components of the Russell 2000. Absolutely, positively not. What else do we have here? So in this backdrop, you can see now you can see that not everything's perfect. Germany here for the year is up by 22%. A 20, and you can see the vast difference. So even if you allocated a few dollars to it, you would have, and you can see that I've pointed out in the past that the big TDFs have an allocation to global stocks. Now, we are not in there, and I'll show you why. You can see here. that this stuff, even after this year, you could see the differences between it and the United States. So Germany is Snow White, right? You've got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? Dopey, sleepy, lazy, sanctimonious, entitled, and two others, right? That's the EU. And Germany, this is Snow White here for sure. And you can see, but even with this, you're still 50% behind, which is just like incredible. Are we going to throw in the towel here? Yeah, maybe, but not with the euro here. Yeah. 102 to 108 is just like a crazy move. You have the steady decline, then all of a sudden erasing everything all the way through March of last year. I wouldn't necessarily call the world more stable compared to world last year, nor the news there here, just so everyone knows, is that Germany is pledging to stand up here and pump its own government spending. And I talked last week about the components of GDP. Basically, the German government here is promising fiscal spending. They're going to hit the money printing press, not the money printing press, but the government expenditure press here to prop up the GDP. And along with it came the Eurozone. And that is the full explanation. That said, of course, I'm gratified here and appreciate everyone because you can see why I'm doing all the fretting is because I'm trying to avoid this kind of thing. You can see it's not only that it's down for the year, it is from +4 so this is 7% lower. 7% in, this is what, 10 days? Yeah, it's the 8th. So 10 plus 8, 18 days. Less than 3 weeks you've swung around. And this is the fastest -5% from the all-time high like ever. Mr. X, in general, however, has stayed, and that is all of you in general. Cold's almost gone, not completely. Infection. This is too high here. This person's very lucky, right? In other words, there are going to be spans where people get, in addition, there's randomness in somebody's favor. This is that person, right? Because we were very slow-footed about pulling off the Lehman egg or the bond market because when it was at 4.5, 4.7, I probably would have said, let's get out because it's not doing its job. Well, it then has started to do its job. I don't think that this is going to decline. I'd love to give you some very positive thought about, that this type of move is going to decline. I simply do not. So what you have here is a website where I get to ask one question of a bunch of AI engines simultaneously. And over here, what I asked it to do, and this question, and we got IT problems because I don't know what I'm doing in terms of these websites. No, I do, but my point is that as you can remember when Google search first started, the question was how to ask it the right question. The same thing here for AI tools, 100%. Well, somebody here on this end understands what to ask and how to ask it on certain matters. And so I wanted to ask it some question about whether or not the market would continue to be volatile or what the actual facts really were. So I'm going to end it here with this explanation, which is this is something called the VIX. The VIX is the solved and this is the implied volatility of observable options markets. So what in the world is that? Did I just say? And you can understand. Now you can see Jay in full flight. right? Because now you can see me and me sharing this at different walks of life with you. This VIX here is basically telling you what the implied volatility on the market, and you can see it here. There it is, volatility. So, what in the world does all of that mean? What that means here for you is that you can expect volatility to continue because the Mr. Market is already telling you that that 23% is a year. And to give you an idea what 23% looks like, and where is the S&P 500 right now? Where is the S&P 500 right now? 5,700 times, divided by 252. This is the technical way to get to divided by 16. And basically what this ends up being is this is telling you that the market is suggesting 83% a day. 83 S&P points a day is the up to down. The average is only, right now, the average is over the last 20 days is 51.29. Let me get this out of your way. So what I did is I asked these engines, or sorry, what I asked is I asked the engines to just brute force do the math for me, please. And that's what's down over here in Llama. And it calculated as 51.29. In other words, the market is predicting 83 when the realized over the last 20 days is 51, meaning what? Market expects more volatility. And for a lot longer, the full year, than even we've had over the last 20 days. Which tells you that the Mr. Market ultimately is expecting more volatility, not less. Pretty technical today. But we're going to run balanced with a little extra cash, basically, in order to deal with that. It is not the time that we. That said, by all means, nobody here is weak, right? It's not also fearful, because the reality is that nothing is wrong with the plumbing, right? August yen carry trade, something was wrong with the plumbing of the house, right? If something's broken at the plumbing, that is different, because now the water main breaks, it now creates electricity short, and now the house stops to function. We still have a functioning house here, and even when it's been straight up or straight down, which we did see on Friday, we've swung 2% intraday, easily more than 2%, almost 3%. Is the reason you're not having lots of changes is because we were already, your allocations don't look like this. 35%. You can see why this particular portfolio did better, right? It had more cash, it had lower equity, it had a lot more bond, and bonds surprisingly rallied in the face of inflation. We should be able to describe, right? Goes back to my first question of tell me when you win, tell me when you lose, right? So that I can know how to make adjustments, so that I can know how to adjust and survive and advance. The single poker hand mimics real day, everyday life a lot. The number of different takeaways, the number of implications, ramifications is almost endless. The framework is complicated, maybe far more complicated and nuanced than you have realized. I understand that people want to use Occam's razor. I understand that people want to use keep it simple, stupid. Those work only when the background, the underlying calculation of price, competition amongst parties is fully understood. From there, yes, I can explain it to you. Jay's Corner is all about trying to pull back the curtain so that you can understand it in language that everyday people use. You can have the right logic and principles and set up personal private priorities. That is to be expected, respected. There's a huge difference, a long distance between you then saying, here are the principles, here are the reasons that I have for choosing a certain path, but then actually choosing that path and executing that path are entirely different things. So as you can see in the poker hand, one player had the best hand to start, the facts changed, they had to adjust. And there's the humility involved, right? In other words, these two players are world-class players, undisputed. The issue, though, is that there's a line on what they knew and what they could control, and they themselves knew it even with millions of dollars of receipts for each. Hopefully you've liked today's video. Be sure to like, subscribe. Be sure to go to the newsletter, jo.substack.com. Thanks.